Hey folks, Jonathan here, and I wanted to share something. Since the election is this Tuesday, I've been seeing this come up a lot, and it's the 13 keys to the White House, the prediction system for determining the outcome of presidential elections in the United States. So this man, Alan Lichtman, historian, he's the one that came up with these 13 keys, and he is saying that because of them, Kamala will win. Well, I have a different perspective here, so let's go through them. Uh, if you just type in the keys to the White House, it's on Wikipedia, and then it's 13 keys. All the information's under there. So the first one is party mandate. And basically, after the midterm elections, the incumbent party holds more seats in the U.S. House of Representatives than after the previous midterm elections. So in this case, the Republicans actually get it because in 2021, there were 222 Dems. This is at the start of the session, by the way. The people who were actually elected. Things change as the 2 years progress. Resignations, stuff like that, and there have been some resignations and um, um, take Utah for instance. We had I don't know, Flake, I think, yeah, Jeff Flake, and now it's Celeste Malloy. He stepped down, and then she won the party nomination. So she took over in the middle of the term, right? But that was Republican to Republican. Anyway, yeah, in 2021 at the start, there were 222 Dems and 211 Republicans. All right. That was right after Biden got elected. Now in the midterms in 2023, there were 212 Dems and 222 Republicans. So that's why the Republicans win this one. Uh, Number two, no primary contest. There is no serious contest for the incumbent party nomination. Since the incumbent is not running and there was a contest for it, it seems either this one's mute or on the Republican side. So I'm going to chalk it up to Republicans here. Because we all saw that. I mean, it was a contentious nomination. So this really says there's no serious contest for the incumbent. The incumbent isn't even running anymore, and that's Joe Biden. Um, Incumbent seeking re-election. See, this is the second part right here. These two kind of lead into each other. No primary contest. And incumbent seeking re-election. The incumbent party candidate is the sitting president. It's not anymore. So both of these, primaries and incumbents, you could say that number two is kind of nothing. There was no serious contest for the incumbent party nomination. There kind of was, and no one really stepped up when Kamala came up. So I'm that's because she's running. She's the one. And well, number four, no third party. There is no significant third party or independent campaign. As far as this one, well, there was kind of a significant one, right? It was RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy, and he was pooling like close to 15 or something like that, 20%. So that's kind of serious. I'll give you an example. Ross Perot, back in 92 and 96, he ran as an independent, and he pulled so many votes away from the Republican that Bill Clinton won. So in this case, it's since the Republicans brought him into the fold and all of his voters, if they're still inclined, and they usually are, we're going to vote for him. Now he's on Donald's side. I'm sure if he went to the Democrats, they would be fine with that because his family's Democrat. You know what I'm saying? They're Kennedys. So on this one, on number four, it's going to go to the Republicans only because RFK went to their side. Joe Stein really isn't a problem. It's 2%. It's those that get like 10%, right? 8%, because then they're definitely pulling a lot of votes away from one party, probably. And in this case, it's Republicans, independents that lean Republican. No Democrats really going to go for this unless they're like, they're totally done with the Democratic Party. Um, Anyway, strong short-term economy. On this one, let me see. So this one's mixed. There is, let's just say that there is a strong short-term economy, strong GDP, strong GDP. Stock market's at an all-time high. Does that translate into wages? So that's what people really are looking for. I think I've read only 10% of people own stocks in the country, and with 401ks, that's yeah. Anyway, GDP all-time high, and so is the stock market. Inflation has come down. It was at 2.1% today that I saw. Wages are still not improving, and the bump in 2020 was a blip in an almost 50-year pattern of stagnant wages. All right, so keep in mind the economy also is in the eye of the beholder. If people feel that they're doing well, they're going to say the economy's good, right? But if they're out of a job, if they're in a job that's not paying the bills, if they have to work two jobs, if things are getting more expensive and their pay's not going up, they're not going to feel so very good about that. The economy has bifurcated, right? Meaning, years ago, back in 2020, the stock market took off, right? There was like that recession, that huge dip, and then bam, they started pumping all that money in, and the stock market just took off. And people's wages took off, but then they started stagnating again. And the stock market just keeps raising. So for the well off, right, and those people in the stock market, they're going to be voting Kamala. But for everyone else that's seeing those wages, even Democrats, a lot of those Democrats, take Pennsylvania, a lot of those Democrats switched to Republican. They were hardcore unionists. Unions gone, no one's doing anything for them, so that's why they vote for Trump. Anyway, on this one, it's going to be mixed, and I'm not going to award any point because people can't agree. There's no agreement, right? Because it's a bifurcated economy. Um, as far as a strong long-term economy, this is a Democratic one because in the long term, all of the investments, all of the just investments from the oh my gosh, now I forgot those two bills, those very important bills that were passed in 2021 by Biden, the Inflation Reduction Act and the sorry. Anyway, we're going to give this one to the Dems, so they finally win a point. Major policy change. This is number 7 now, so we're moving on. The incumbent administration affects major changes in national policy. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and clarify this point. If people like those changes, they're going to keep voting for those people, right? If people don't like the changes, they're not. And a lot of people don't like the inflation that all this has brought. And they're not giving out a whole lot of information on why it happened. Like a couple of them have admitted the government just spent too much. And really, that's what's going on. And it's incredible how the government can spend too much. Like they can't forecast a couple years into the future, like most businesses can, like most major corporations. It's incredible that this actually happened, that they spent too much. And they pumped all that money into the economy and they didn't expect inflation to happen. So it's really crazy, But as far as this major policy change, I'm giving it over to the Republicans. They're not earning a point here, like the Democrats. Those policies people really don't like, and because of the inflation, the high prices, right, and wages aren't keeping up. So yeah, Republicans there. Number 8, no social unrest. There is no sustained social unrest during the term. And there has been a lot of social unrest, right? And during Trump's term, there was a lot of social unrest. So I'm actually not going to award a point here. So, because there's a lot of social unrest right now. So let's move on. No scandal. Well, we all know Donald Trump scandals, but as far as Joe Biden, there's Hunter Biden, and I don't know why they keep this guy in the White House. He's a millionaire. He sells a bunch of terrible, in my opinion, art for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So he's loaded, and for some reason he has to live at the White House because, if I was Joe Biden, I'd be like, son, I love you, but stop ruining my presidency. You're a millionaire and a grown ass man. You're 52 years old. Move out. You're a millionaire. Anyway, that's Joe Biden. He's not running anymore, so it's Kamala Harris. A few weeks ago, I wrote Harris has no scandals, but I think this McDonald's thing is probably her biggest scandal, and I'm not happy about her. All she has to do is show a picture, talk about it a little bit. Yeah, in the summer of '81, I got this job for a couple months. I just needed some money. I worked at McDonald's. I mean, that's it, right? Like, yeah, on the weekends, a little bit, just a few reminiscence of that job, and she can't even do it. It's utterly insane. I think. Like, I could talk about jobs. Like, I used to work at a grocery store. I was there bagging groceries, right? That was my first job. I didn't like bagging groceries, and then I was looking around, like, what else can I do here? And I noticed, they would put you on carts. I would be the guy pushing carts in, right? I love doing that. I do that all day. I would be like, if you need someone, assign me to that. It rain, snow, sleet, Thanksgiving. They assigned me that at night. I remember Thanksgiving I worked Christmas. I didn't have to because I worked Thanksgiving, but I volunteered. And they were really happy. And I kept those carts filled, where you put the carts in and you come grab it. Man, I kept them filled. I got to my shift, right? Because I had the later shift, the busy shift. And there was like 3, 4 carts, right? Crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I go out there, just bam, 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 bam. And then there's carts, and the manager comes over. She's like, man, I'm so glad that you volunteered on Christmas, whatever it was, the 23rd or something, the 24th. I can't remember. Anyway, that's, so, yeah. Not as bad as Trump, though, so I'll go ahead and give this one to Harris as well. No foreign or military failure. Afghanistan, Ukraine, the Israel-Gaza war, and now we have South Korea shooting more ICBMs. Did you hear a few years ago? There's one year ago in Africa, they had all these coups, and they kicked out the Democratic president, and so there's a lot of foreign and military failures, especially with Afghanistan. So I'm going to go ahead and award this to the Republican. Now, I am going to go out and agree that Donald Trump did cause a lot of those problems in Afghanistan because he really didn't plan it very well, the exit. But what did Biden do? That's. But I'm going to, because the perception right now is that it wasn't Trump's fault, He might have initiated, but Biden finished. Number 11, major foreign or military secrets. The incumbent administration achieves a major success in foreign military powers. The successful defense of Ukraine, even though it's a real bad situation there, it has been successfully defended. Is there more to do? Oh, yeah. They could have done a lot more. The strengthening of NATO. Now, that's probably the biggest success. And it was an inadvertent success. It wasn't Joe Biden that, oh, yeah, NATO. It was, oh, my God, the Russians are coming. What about NATO? So on this one, I'll go ahead and give this one to the Democrats. Because they kind of fell backwards into it, but it worked out for them. Charismatic incumbent. Harris is not charismatic. Trump is. We all know that. Trump can, for a lot of people he is. For a lot of people he pisses people off. And for me, I can see his charisma and why he keeps these people coming back for more. It's like Obama. Them Republicans hated Obama. But we as Democrats, we know that Obama was a very charismatic and great speaker. And Trump is too, but we just don't like what he says. Michelle Obama is a great speaker. I mean, Harris is not. Otherwise, she would be on a bunch of TV shows and podcasts like Donald Trump is doing. She'd be going left and right, and she's like younger, 20 years younger. She appears to be in much better health, but yet she can't go on all. Like when Obama was running, he was on every channel. They even made a TV show out of him. I saw a couple episodes. It was like on UPN years ago. Anyway, that's so I'm gonna give this one to the Republicans. So number 12 is charismatic incumbent, right? And Joe Biden's not charismatic either. 13 is uncharismatic challenger. The challenging party candidate is not charismatic or a national hero. Well, the challenging party candidate is Donald Trump, and he is charismatic, and he is a national hero. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to be like, what? Who is this guy saying this stuff that Donald Trump's a national hero? But, folks, he survived a couple of assassination attempts, and he's done something that a lot of Republicans are really happy about. And if Bernie Sanders had done this, Democrats would be happy about it too. And that's stand up against the establishment and against all these elitists and corporations, right? Now, I know that Donald Trump is kind of a fibber on standing up to that. Bernie wasn't. But Donald's still there saying the same stuff. And Donald still has his followers. And Bernie, he just couldn't do it. For whatever reason, he just couldn't go through with it. And, well, Bernie's back to where he was in the since before 2015, So anyway, let's go ahead and add these up. So I'm seeing one. Let's do Republicans first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Now I didn't award points on 2 of them, and as far as Democrats go, we have 1, 2, 2. Kamala Harris is really a terrible candidate, right? A lot, like their major policy, really their major bills that they pass, because that's what lawmakers do. They pass bills that make Americans' lives better. They were passed the Inflation Reduction Act and the, I still can't remember that other one that was passed in 2021. For the life of me, I cannot. But it's been almost 4 years. And yeah, we have had things passed, but that's usually in budget reconciliation, which is a much lower threshold of votes needed. And that's literally to get the budget going, and they don't like to put a lot of pork in there. Otherwise, they just don't like to do it. And they do. So anyway, it's just not going very well for the Democrats. And, a lot of people did not want Joe Biden. What was he polling at in 2020 before everyone dropped out? It was like below 10%. And Bernie was at 30%, right? And if it would have stayed that way, Bernie would have won because he would have had the majority of delegates. But because they coalesced behind Biden, the guy that no one wanted, we're in this situation. And by the way, Kamala Harris, no one wanted her for president in California. I think people got wise in California to that she's really just a careerist. She may have done things good as Attorney General and whatnot in her previous positions. I know her more as a senator, and I don't see a whole lot that she did. And I think California agreed, and that's why she got a low percentage during the primary in 2020. And then Biden chose her as his vice president instead of Val Demings. And I've always thought that, Kamala Harris, she has the money advantage because who knows what she's saying to these investors, these donors, the donors to the Democratic Party. She's pulling in the money, and I think Val Demings looked at the situation politically with all her wisdom and knowledge as a politician, and she said, I don't want to have any part of that because I know better. So, yeah. It's not going very well for these Democrats Even here in Utah, they've pretty much, even Democrats are leaving the Democratic Party. I mean, they're barely hitting 20% on on all their federal candidates, including the governor. You know, they keep there's a guy, a Democrat running here, and he says 40%. My internal polling shows 40% willing to vote for me. And then you see the News, Deseret, the polls coming out of there, and you know, he's at 20%. People and the undecided are 20%. So it's almost like the guy saying, "Oh yeah, those undecided will just put him." So you know that old saying, you know, you can't believe everything you read. Um, I mean, who are you gonna believe? The newspapers, the two newspapers that show a few different polls that say he's not breaking 20%, or the guy that can't break 20% that says I'm at 40. So there's a lot of just straight up lying in the Democratic Party. They don't even want to acknowledge that prices are high. They don't say anything about wages. They don't say healthcare is insane because they keep shouting lies about abortion. I mean, they're the ones that got us into this situation with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She didn't resign. She should have resigned when she got cancer in 12 or 14, or, you know, so we could have gotten another, like after Obama won his second term, she should have resigned. If you're 80 years old and your seat is vital, you know, to your party's policies and politics working out for the long term, she should have resigned. And that's just really bad on her part. Like, people blame Trump for changing the Supreme Court. I blame Ruth Bader Ginsburg for not resigning when she should have. And there is a lot of precedent for people resigning when they should. Look at Sandra Day O'Connor. All right, she resigned. Her health started getting bad, and she resigned. She didn't have to do that. She could have stuck it out like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but she didn't. And that's how it goes. You know, these people want to stay in power forever, and what are they doing for us? I have no idea. You know, I've been to the Democratic Party. I was there in 2015 with Bernie, and then after his campaign, we went to the Democratic Party of Utah, and we didn't know what they were doing. They never talked about any bills. They never really talked about politics at all. They just kind of went through the motions, like I think most state parties did, because they didn't want to get into it. Because once you know what they want to do, you're not going to want them. You know? Anyway, folks, Trump's going to win. 23 minutes in, yeah, I'm sure you realize that by now. And it's going to be no one's fault but Harris's. Don't let anyone try and convince you that it's anyone else's fault but her. Just like Hillary Clinton. Whose fault was it that Hillary Clinton lost? Hillary Clinton's. Whose fault was it that Donald Trump lost? It was Donald Trump's. Whose fault is it that Donald Trump's going to win this time? It's Kamala Harris it's Kamala Harris for losing. And I've never seen someone that's actually there, like in the very top echelon, right? The championship match for the presidency, not knowing what the hell's going on. Like, I was there for Obama, and he was a very smart man that knew what he wanted to do, very articulate on policies and where we wanted to go on in this country. Not Kamala Harris. So, and one final note, because of the percentages, if you look at the percentages, Donald Trump was at 46% and Hillary at 51%, and then a few years later, Donald's around 46 again, and Joe's around 50. Now, Harris is at 46, along with Donald Trump. So what this is going to mean is that the Republicans are finally going to win the popular vote for the first time in 20 years. They didn't win it in 08, they lost. They didn't win it in 16, but they won the Electoral College. And they're finally going to win this time the popular vote because Kamala's doing so badly that a lot of people are skipping out. That's why those percentages came down. You know, it's not because people are why would something go down? It's because people don't want it. People don't want it. And I don't think it's because of Gaza or anything like that. I think those are just I don't even think a lot of those people vote Democrat anyway. I was there with Bernie and I saw all these protests and I would ask and a lot of them said, I'm not registered to vote. I'm an independent. I'm green. A few of them said, yeah, Democrat, right? Like I was there. But you know, I vote like every time there's a vote, I'm there. But anyway, this election, expect Vice President Harris to lose the popular vote if she loses the Electoral College. This is Jonathan. Thank you.